Robbie.
Hello, Mike.
How are you?
I'm doing great, man. And hey, before we get started,
Sure.
I want to send a big hello to probably our two favorite listeners, both under 4 feet tall. And I'm not talking about Eric Kuczykowski. I'm actually talking about Hudson and Madison Scandridge, our two favorite listeners, easily in the state of Texas, if not across the country. We just want to say a big C26 Triathlon Crushing Iron podcast. Hello.
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 How are our favorites doing?
Yeah, they're our favorites. They are, I don't even know how old they are, but they're both under 10. They are two of our biggest listeners. And hey, let's be honest, you have to be extremely immature to really, really love this podcast. So that's probably why they love us. They love us so much. But we thank you for tuning in. Today is Monday, June 25th. It is 9:37 a.m. Central Standard Time, and this is the Crushing Iron Triathlon Podcast, suitable for all ages.
Yes, it is. Most of the time.
Most of the time. We have been told to watch our curse words. So
I know. And I've done a little thinking about that, actually. I don't think we're probably the least cursive podcast on the, iTunes. Pretty close.
You think?
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know if we are or not.
But we're pretty good.
Generally speaking, we are.
I think
but,
what happens
days
is it's unexpected, and every once in a while an F-bomb comes out.
Yeah, that's true. So
we apologize for that. But, we're trying to do what we want to do in life, and
and sometimes it's cussing. And
just very rarely. We're trying to work on that.
Yeah, at least be predictive with our cursing. So we'll try to do a better job.
We'll do it. Here it comes.
Here it comes. Earmuffs. And then we'll just drop enough F-bombs to make you think you're listening to, or watching The Departed or Good Will Hunting. I remember that was the first movie I watched with my parents in movie theater, and it was incredibly uncomfortable.
For you?
Well, I mean, I think for all of us, because they were just bopping, they were just dropping bombs like right and left. I think I was fairly young. I don't remember how old I was, maybe 14, 15. But still one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a good one, man. I've always heard that excessive use of curse words reflects lack of vocabulary. So maybe we should just work on trying to phase them out. Because we're deep vocabularists.
I couldn't disagree more with that comment. But that's all right. So we're back. We are both, I know, recovering from a incredibly busy weekend. We had our second C26 Triathlon Camp of the year and fifth camp overall. And as we always tend to do with life and in training and with everything else, we try to get better with each camp. And I feel like this was probably one of, if not our best camp. And I expect the same thing in August.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting better. Everybody else is getting better. The system's getting down, and people are really stepping up with good attitudes, man.
You know what? That's the key to pretty much everything.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to title the podcast, "This Attitude is King."
Yeah, it really is.
I'm telling you right now.
It's good. So we won't get off the air. Then I won't get a text message with like four different suggestions for a title, and then I'll work really hard to find like one really clever, witty one, and you'll just kind of veto it and go with what you think, and he's good anyway.
I'm thinking, well, they're not going to really quite understand that.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes listen. We talk about it. Sometimes it's just best to go simple.
Yeah.
And but no, if there was anything that stood out to me this weekend, it was attitude. And the people that you surround yourself with are of the utmost importance. And I was telling Adam Embry this as we were walking away from our last training session, and we did an open water session yesterday morning to kind of end things off. And honestly, the last session is always the least energetic because we've just done 3 really, really hard days of training, and the hardest day is, I think, easily on Saturday. And so it's kind of more of like a goodbye bon voyage kind of session. We still work hard and have fun, but he's like, man, I just can't tell you how great these people are. And I said, man, I 100% agree. And I will tell you this right now, and I believe it wholeheartedly, that most people start with me coaching because they want me to coach them, but they stick around for the team because our team is just insanely awesome. And people come to camp for the coaching and the training, and they come back the next time for the people.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, it really is incredible to have, and it's easily my favorite part. I get a lot of questions sometimes about how can you handle so many athletes, and outside of the fact that A, I love my job, and B, I do it full time so I can handle more, is like when you get the opportunity to work with these kind of people, I can't think of anything better. And yeah, camp, the attitude and the people you surround yourself with makes all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked a lot about like-minded people and how it seems like those are the kind of when people come to camp, there is sort of a commonality, a common ground that's maybe undefinable at first, but of course, you and I are on the podcast, so you coach a lot of the people, and people know us mostly. They come with a friend or something like that they might know, and know everyone else through Facebook. And the first day or so is kind of like, I feel like they're talking maybe to us a little bit more, or that feels more comfortable maybe because they know us, or at least know what we're all about. And then as camp rolls on, I feel like I start getting ignored, and they find better friends.
It's so true.
It's kind of like, hey, what about hello, I'm over here still. And they're just over there with their new buddies and kind of doing their own thing, and it's awesome. But that's it, man. It's like they just embraced it and rolled with it, and just made some good friends for the rest of their life, I believe.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And it's like you can have, everybody has friends and acquaintances and people within their community, either their local tri club or whatever it is, or their gym or their run group. But to an extent, we're all kind of, I don't want to say held back is the word, but we're all, for most people, we're all just kind of we have who we have, based on where we live, mm-hmm. and the friends you have. And if you traveled a lot or moved a lot or whatever, or, you live far away from people, or you train alone, or you don't have a group. But then, and not everybody has the same personality and dedication, or just, general, awesome, just general awesomeness, I'm just going to say. But then you come to a place like camp, or you go and you meet another group, and they rise to your top 5 favorite people, because you just have so many things in common in terms of that part of your life, and every other part of your life could be vastly different. I mean, we had every different athletic level at our camp, different experience levels, different ages, different sexes, different different places in their life. Some are married, some are not. Some are single, some are not. Some had kids, some are not. And everybody's job is different. And so to see everybody kind of mesh together and get along so well and so freely, it really is awesome to watch. And I think just another testament to how important having the right people in your life is.
Mm-hmm. It's a big. There's a lot of people that do triathlon, and you and I have always talked about how we believe there's a common thread that runs through most triathletes, and they're kind of trying to be better and moving to different heights in their lives, and just pushing through things. And we know there's good people in there, but it's really difficult. At least for me, I'm speaking historically, going to races and getting to a race and sort of building a relationship on site that weekend, because everyone's distracted, or there's something going on, or sometimes you meet people that aren't as friendly, and it doesn't seem so. Sometimes that can be a lonely place, and for me, since we started the podcast, or actually since we started camps, and they have built-in numbers and things like that, and over the time, and it really sunk in with me down at Chattanooga 70.3 when we had a lot of people there, but we actually knew them, because that was the part of our camp philosophy, was that we're gonna kind of reach out on social media or through the internet and meet people virtually and stuff like that, but we wanted to meet people and meet them face to face and get to know them and build that relationship. And when we got to Chattanooga, and it really was true, it was like you were running into friends, not just people that you kind of know their name or their icon or stuff like that.
Yep.
It was a whole different ball game, and that's sort of what this camp did for me, and always does for me, is that and then of course you meet friends of their friends and stuff like that, and it's just a slow build of like-minded, kind of same philosophy, good attitude, gratitude type people that really builds. And it just, I'm grateful in the sense that it just really enhances my life. I had a few house guests for the weekend, for the 4 nights, and it's, I know you, it's one of the greatest things is to have roommates, and it's sort of like the reverse of college roommates, because we're getting up at 4 a.m. and going to bed at like 8. It's sort of like, it's like, all right, Mike, it's time to mature, buddy. Yeah, I mean, it's they're the I'm like the loud one at 8:30, walking around trying to figure out something to do, and they're all going to bed. But but it was great having them, and they give me good energy, and we had a lot of laughs. And I know you had some house guests too, and that probably went well, huh?
Yeah, the house guests always go well. It's enjoyable. It's fun. Hayden basically forgets about Allie and I every single time we have a house guest. Nothing is ever our turn anymore. It's always Summer and Erica over here with us. Summer for the first night, and then Erica the whole time. And it's no longer Allie or I's turn. It's actually whoever here. So it was Matt and Amanda's turn in April. It was Erica or Summer's turn. Everything Erica and Summer. Summer can help me. Erica can help me. So it's actually kind of nice to have like a couple babysitters. So that's actually why I let people stay here, is because I know I'm going to get like some free, a little bit of free time on my hands. But no, it's great. And we August camp is full, and we did in the we have a closed group if you're not part of it, which it seems like more and more people are becoming part of it.
Yeah, it's blowing up a little bit.
Yeah, blowing up
in our definition of blowing up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is. You can always go on Facebook to be part of the conversation at Crushing Iron Group. But we released the dates for 2019 camps. We will do May 1st through the 5th, June 19th through the 23rd, July 31st through August 4th, and then August 21st through the 25th. And if you're not part of that group, or even if you are and you haven't checked out in the last few days, we have a ton of videos that Mike has put up of camp. That'll really, I'm sure we'll have a kind of a camp primer video of the whole June experience here in the next week or so. But Mike has done such incredible work already in highlighting some of the best moments from camp. You can always go and check those out just to kind of get a feel of what camp is like. I've never been to another camp. I can't tell you what they're like and how they do things or how they're run. And while I can tell you, I feel like we do a really good job running our camps, and the training you get is outstanding, and the places you get to train are just insanely awesome. The people are easily the highlight.
Yeah.
The people that come to camp are going to be your number one when you leave. And I think in a sport that can be so isolating, it's just so nice to be surrounded. It gives you energy to go on to, even if you have to retreat back to a routine or back to your house where you don't have anybody else to train with. Like, even if you have to do that, it propels you forward, and it gives you, and I think with all things in life, the more you can connect, the more energy you have, at least with the right people. Yeah. And this is one of those things. And so I think even when you get back home, it's always important to stay connected and be connected with people who are just like you.
I updated the website with the new dates too. So crushingiron.com has I know, new video, new date graphic has been posted. The 2018 camp thing is full, so it's been taken down, but we have some new videos up there to check out. In case you miss them, if they slide away in the group or whatever, you can go to crushingiron.com. And you can also go follow Crushing Iron on YouTube. We're going to be putting, that's usually where I just put everything. So, and you'll get a notice or whatever if you want. And who knows what's going to be going up there, because I got a lot of good stuff. And it is inspiring,
dude.
The
greatest moment from camp.
Yeah, it's just been posted.
It's just been posted. It is really the not my favorite, but definitely one of the highlights of camp.
Oh yeah,
is definitely that one. But yeah, it was great. I know you and I both had a blast. As busy as it is, and as tiring and exhausting, I think, as it is, and everybody would agree, just because we're doing so much, it's you always leave in a much better place and with more friends, and that should be the goal of everything that we do.
Yeah, it is. It's an alternative vacation, a getaway with your new adult friends doing hard work together.
Your new adult friends.
Adult friends. Adult Swim. But yeah, so, I always used to kind of joke about it being an alternative vacation, come to Nashville and get away and, lose your, responsibilities and kind of work on
responsibility was the word we were going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said lose your, and you paused. I was like, oh boy, this might want to be an earmuff one.
Okay. Yeah. No earmuffs. What did, like for me, I learned people, I always learn at camp that people are more capable of things, what they don't think they are. Well, how do I say that? They're capable of more than they think they are.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, people are much more. But, and I think that's the other part about, surrounding yourself with good people is that, there's a distinct difference, I think, in pushing people towards realizing their potential than challenging them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some people like to challenge other people, and and I think that's also a distinctly different style of coaching. Some coaches like to challenge you to push yourself, and I think, and I think I'm definitely guilty of that to an extent. But the more positive and purposeful approach, I believe, a lot of times is just to allow them the opportunity to choose that for themselves.
Exactly, man.
And when you surround yourself with other people, or you communicate with other people who are doing that same thing and have that same mindset, or you look over in the corner of your eye and you see so and so like putting out so much energy and so much effort, then you kind of get out of your you get out of your comfort zone that you kind of fall into with complacency, and you think you're working hard. And then you go to a different environment with different athletes and different people and different personalities, different experience levels, and you find yourself rising to a different level. I don't want to say necessarily rising to the occasion, but you rise to a different level of what you thought was your hard or your best effort, or I can't go. And it's I'll read a small quote I had from one of the athletes that went. I won't say their name because she hasn't approved this for me yet. But part of what this athlete said was, "I appreciate the opportunity to be at camp and feel thankful to have met so many inspiring people. It might be selfish, but these 4 days have completely validated the work I've put in the last 8 months. There are some times that I feel like when I train alone or with others, I'm not reaching my potential. But this week has changed that. Thank you for believing in all of us. That means more than you know." It's that.
Yeah, that's good.
It's because listen, and especially in a sport with so many type A's, listen, we're all creatures of habit. And I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I am like, the word change doesn't even it's not even in my vocabulary. I don't like it. even though I've probably gone through like one of the biggest changes ever. But I don't, generally speaking, from my wardrobe to other things, I don't like change much. I just like to do what I do. I like routine, and that's good in a lot of ways for athletes who are routine based to do this or that. But in the same kind of breath, we also kind of fall into like not changing and not being challenged or falling into complacency. They can all be kind of intermingled and confused. And sometimes you just forget, like, oh, like I do, like, I am capable of more. And it's not like yelling at somebody to swim faster. It's not yelling at somebody to go do another hill. It's not yelling at somebody to not walk. It's putting people around them that are choosing to push themselves, that you think to yourself, oh, wait a minute, if they're doing it, I can do it. Or if they're getting out of their comfort zone, I can, because you can see the pain on people's faces when certain things are done. Yeah. You can see people that are uncomfortable. You can see, but it's just knowing that no one has it easy all the time in every aspect of their life or in training. And sometimes you have to be able to do things that aren't super comfortable for you. Mm-hmm. And that's also my other favorite part. It's that attitude of pushing yourself, but I can't tell you how many, and we should all strive to be like this more often, myself included, is to do things that make us uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure.
But that also excite us. Like, I know those don't seem like they should go together, but I can't tell you how many of the athletes before they got to camps that said, I'm totally scared to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm so excited to come and try. Mm-hmm. Like, just that attitude, you're never going to be held back. If you're always, if that's your mentality for most things in life or anything, it's like, because we don't like to challenge ourselves, whether it's the hills in Percy Warner that they conquered twice and for longer, or for two of the athletes that we had, it was open water swimming. It was for one athlete, it was total fear of just swimming, period, without a wetsuit. Like, I can't do this with a wetsuit, and the other one was, I can't catch my breath. I can't, have to stop. If it's open water, I just panic. I can't do this. And so, but the first thing we did, the first place we lined up on Thursday or on Friday morning at camp was open water. Yeah. And as you've seen in probably some of the videos, we work hard, and for them to know they were going to do that and line up, put their goggles on, put their bathing suits on, and it was warm enough that I did not allow wetsuits. Like, it takes a lot of courage.
Sure, it does.
It just takes a lot of dedication to, overcoming that fear, but knowing what's on the other side if they keep going.
Can you kind of go on the anxiety part? You said something at camp that I thought was interesting about if you're panicking, the breathing part. How did you phrase that?
This is.
It didn't necessarily hit everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's
a tough one to take. Maybe
it's a tough one to take. Mm-hmm. But this is definitely not the advice you'll probably hear pretty much anybody else. But I said, this may or may not be what you're talking about, but I said, when you panic and when you can't breathe, or you feel like you can't breathe, or you can't go any forward, like when you're swimming, you don't have to stop.
Yeah, that's the part.
Most people will tell you, oh, but just stop and take a breath. If it was that easy for you to take a breath, you wouldn't be panicked. And I have found with many athletes, this was true at April camp when I worked with another athlete who specifically had issues with the open water, and the two gentlemen I had that ended camp not having any more issues, was I had to stop them and say, listen, just because you haven't caught your breath, just because you feel like you're about to panic, that doesn't mean you're required to stop and tread water. Because the moment you stop, you have admitted and you have succumbed to being in a state of panic or in a state of extreme anxiety. But there are plenty of ways to work out that getting your breath back or being in control, or it's just you don't have to give into it. And it's a mental thing, because guess what? You just didn't forget how to swim. You just didn't get out of swim shape within the first 100 meters of a race. Most oftentimes, you just fail to do the most important part of breathing,
which is
the exhale. Like everybody, like so many people do this, and I used to do it I used to even do it all the time, and I don't have any fear at all of open water under any circumstance. But that doesn't mean that you don't succumb to not paying attention and not remembering what's important, because there are two very important aspects of breathing, the exhale and the inhale. And you cannot inhale at all anywhere close to what you need to do. Like if you just sat here in a chair, no movement, no extra energy, no other body parts or muscles moving around, to require more oxygen and blood flow. If you just sat here and only breathed out, never breathed in, you would also eventually run out of air. And when we start these swim starts, where they're mass swim starts, even by yourself, you get so caught up in the environment, the people around you, and doing this and doing that you forget, when you put your face back in the water, to exhale. So every time you go to breathe, you try to take in air, but your lungs are getting smaller and smaller and smaller because they're not having the opportunity to expand and contract. And then it's like trying to swim hard for 200 meters in an open water race but you're breathing into a brown paper bag. And so we worked on exhaling, and I tell a lot of people, and I do this, I even do this to this day, every race I do, the first 200, 300 meters, I make a loud noise when I exhale underwater. A, to remind myself to exhale, and 2, to hear myself acknowledging the fact that I am indeed exhaling. Yeah. And then I take a breath. But it's that shift in I can gather myself. And a lot of it is, again, it's that story that we tell ourselves. And I had these two athletes like, listen, I said, we're going to start again. And then before you start, you're going to tell yourself, I'm in control of my breath. I'm in control of what I do. And then you just stay in control. And no matter who does what, no matter who you come into contact with, no matter what happens, you constantly recognize, I am in control of what I do. I'm in control of my breath. And I have it. And then you keep it. And if something happens and you slow your stroke rate down, you exhale and you get it back. But yes, you don't always have to give in to that panic, because every time, in my opinion, every time you give in, you're more likely to continue to do it more often the next time. It might be 20 strokes the first time, and the next time might be 10. The next time might be 4, because I just got to stop again.
Yeah.
And it's not the story you want to tell yourself. It is possible to do these things.
Yeah. And I'm glad you put that in there, the caveat about, you're not going to all of a sudden lose your swim shape, your swim fitness that fast. I'm sure occasionally, and I think another element to that is when you're breathing and you're concentrating on that relaxing and that sort of thing, that's going to slow you down, because like what happens, it happened to me, it happens to me all the time, as soon as you go out way faster than you think you are, and all of a sudden you're having trouble catching up with your breath and that sort of stuff. And I didn't have a panic, but yesterday I haven't been swimming much really since Chattanooga, so I feel like I'm a little out of shape. And we did on that long-ish one, I didn't have it, so I stopped for a second. But it's a different feeling, it's distinguishing between what is a panic and, like what you're saying. So I just thought that was interesting, because it is so true. When I feel for me, that's the reason I'm so cognizant of warm-ups and arm swirls and doing these kind of things and getting, my upper body, sort of the blood flow going through it, because I have a tendency to just come out of the blue and just jump in the water, and then I'm not relaxed and I'm not breathing right, so that's it, And it was funny, we put that video up of the beach start, and one of our athletes, Mark, Strasser asked if we practice rolling starts. And I thought that was hilarious, man. It was like, everybody get in line now, just walk into the water and wade in and try not to bump into anybody.
Yeah. So, we do. I mean, people don't come to stay comfortable. They come to challenge themselves and to be around other people that want to do the same. And it's so funny, though, because and I talk about this at the swim camp and other things we do, is that even people with like even minimal open water or a lot of open water, like anxiety, like when you put them in an atmosphere that they know is safe. And again, like I'm also not, I almost discourage it, but I don't encourage people when we do longer swims to wear one of those floaties behind them. Because I think I can generally get to anybody when they are needed, but the only sense of security you really need is deep down inside. And I think, and yeah, I get it. That's if you're swimming by yourself, I think you should have one. I think it's a safe thing to do. But in a group, no, I don't think you should have one. You're capable of anything. And again, that's something that we talked about the previous podcast. It's like I honestly believe anybody physically can do an Ironman or a half or a 7.3. It's the emotional and mental aspect of it that's so demanding. And when you translate that into overcoming fears, whether it's open water swimming, whether it's climbing hills that you've never climbed before on the Natchez Trace Parkway, whether it's running, probably the hilliest route you'll ever run in Percy Warner and sometimes doing it twice, or, it's the mental and emotional aspect that gets in our way. It's the story that we tell ourselves of why we can't, or that it's going to be too hard. And when you put people in an environment when there's some other people, we have people doing mass beach starts, mass beach exits, doing things that are really uncomfortable, racing like all out 200s in the open water, and all they thought about was getting it done. They didn't with other people getting it done. And it's almost like positive energy and overcoming fear by osmosis. Like you just absorb all the good energy from everybody that's around you, or that you see them doing, and you think, it gives you the ability and the strength and the determination to also do it. And then or you get on Natchez Trace, like I've never climbed anything as hilly in my entire life, but then you do it, and you've raised the bar again. Well, now what can I do? Now what can I do? And it's almost like affirmation camp. It's kind of what it is, or like a shifting of your mindset camp, and just being in an environment where you can allow other people to experience this, and then experience it with each other is not only why camp is great, but it also helps athletes, like if they're in a training rut, remember their why.
Yeah.
And why they do it, and to be surrounded by good people. There's no better thing. You can't put a price on it.
Mm-hmm. I've been to a lot of these seminars, or week-long workshop type things where you go and you bounce around to different hotel conference rooms and you listen to speakers, and you leave these things just completely jacked up, and then you walk out of that the next day and you're like, how do I do this stuff again? It's like the difference, like in camp, we kind of get together before everything and we talk about stuff and we figure out what we're going to do, and then we go out and actually do it. That's the difference. That's like the real life experience, right? It's actually getting the confidence and understanding of putting your body through that said activity. And that's a different form of inspiration, than just sitting there and listening to a YouTube video or whatever the case may be, and you have that support group around you. Jason stayed with me here again, and the last day, and they had been through, I spent a lot of time videotaping and getting some good stuff and everything. I worked out a little bit, but these guys went through the ringer and did some pretty tough stuff in that last run at Percy Warner. What is that, like 700 feet or 800?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Almost 6 miles. It's over 100 feet of climb per mile. And it's a tough run, it's a great run. It's one of my favorite runs, but he was out ahead of me, and I felt like I was slowly gaining on him, and he had been through a lot more than me, man. And I was just sort of watching him kind of. He had his, I think he had a headset. He was listening to music or something, and I was just kind of behind him, just slowly trying to catch up on him, and I could hear him kind of going, fighting it. And I always talk about that don't walk thing, get used to not walking. And I expected on one of those hills he was just gonna, take a little break, and I kept trying to inch up on him, and I couldn't get much closer. I couldn't close on it. He was barreling, man. He was fighting it, and then we got over the top of one hill, and I was like, all right, here I'm gonna go, and he was just gone on me, and he just kept going and kept going and kept going, and it was just that. Those are those moments when it's like, I know that we talked about it afterwards, him and I, to crystallize what just happened, and reuse that, because the pain of running in triathlon can feel worse than it is. So, and it becomes this mental inertia versus inflammation or something like that. And that the ability to break through that and keep going is just, a lot of times the difference, man.
Well, it's all about like just your body. It's always a battle between, like, rarely ever are your body and your mind perfectly in sync. Like, usually one has to force the other into doing something. Whether it's you're so mentally there that your mind forces your body to do something that you thought it was just telling you that it couldn't do. Like we talk about on a lot of podcasts, or like, and I think we started talking about it on the Steve Magnus podcast, but like, you see these people who their body is telling them that they can't move another muscle, and they just can't exert any more energy. But then when they reach the finishing chute, they can run like a 4.340.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time. And then, or it's an athlete who in their mind has convinced themselves that they can't. I can't run this pace. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. And then you have them go out and you have them run by feel, and their body takes over, and their mind drifts, and they come back, and they're like, whoa. I didn't think I was capable of that. And I'm like, see, that's where you got yourself. Anytime you start to think.
Yeah.
I didn't think, and then so it's generally always a battle back and forth, and of telling your body to do something, or your body showing you that what you thought was wrong, and your vision of how you thought yourself, or how you saw yourself as an athlete, and when you looked in the mirror, your mind and your eyes saw one thing, and your body was trying to tell you something different. And you can, and it's not even like always. It's not like taken out of the our experience that we just had with camp. It's like, it's also with races.
Yeah, for sure.
In training environments, it's like, we always say, go pick the hilly route. A because it's better for you, but B, it's like, it's about just like grit and work. Like, it's nothing you're going to want to brag about and show, but it's just like, it teaches you something, and it teaches you to work hard and to do it. And I even have athletes sometimes that are like, hey, I had an athlete earlier this year who was like, I really, really, really want to do Lake Placid 70.3, but I just can't do hills. I'm terrible at them. I know I can't do it. What do you think I should do? I said, well, you should sign up. and it's not, because it's not about like, we should always take the easier, flat route. We should take the easiest race. It's like, I don't care. Yeah, do I care that you finished? I care that you do well. Yes, I do. But I'm also just as concerned of changing your mindset and how you see yourself as an athlete. And if we can do that all at the same time, and you can have that, like, that there is a such thing as like a healthy fear.
Of course there is.
I don't think the healthy fear should be, I don't know if I can finish. But I think it's like that. It's where healthy fear meets respect. And like respect of the distance, or respect of the challenge, or respect of the again, what you gain from it at the end is more respect for yourself.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, outside of, I would venture to say, when people leave camp, their number one thing they leave with is friendships. It'll always be the people. I firmly believe that. The second one will be a newfound belief within themselves that they can do more and they can work harder. And you can find that in training. You can find that in challenging races. You can just, instead of looking for the easiest way out or the easiest course or the easiest, like, what's wrong with deciding to make it harder on yourself? Like, we did decide to do this for that main reason anyway. It's like to challenge ourselves. And not to make it look like we're challenging ourselves, but then taking the easiest way out. You don't want to be the guy running into the burning building looking like in the superhero, only to run out the back door. I think we all fall victim to that sometimes. It's like, yeah, we're doing this hard stuff. I'm like, yeah, but how are you really pushing yourself? And what is pushing yourself to you? Is it being uncomfortable? Is it that healthy fear? Is it that healthy fear meets respect? There's so many different ways to look at it, but there are also, outside of like a camp or a race, there are ways to do that for yourself on a daily basis that it's always about growth, physical, mental, emotional growth, and the more we can grow, the better off we are. And you can't really fully grow unless you're always challenging yourself to do more or grow more.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball on that, because I agree with you. I think the attitude that everybody had was, of course, outstanding. And the ability to sort of keep that perspective in your mind about how am I going to challenge myself, and it's a good thing to go further and stuff like that. We did have a session at camp on strength and mobility and nutrition with our new partners, and we had a little it was kind of a run through, and he was showing, but his basic thing was built on recovery. So like, for example, I'm just going to use myself for an example, because I feel like I'm usually pretty good at throwing myself into the fear and push myself, and sometimes I lead with that card all the time. Or, I'll tend to lead with go hard, push, and I don't pay enough attention to the other side of it, which is making sure that I'm preparing my body through rest and sleep and recovery and nutrition and stuff like that. And I just find it becomes a grind, and I think there's a lot of type A or, like hard driven people out there too in this sport that push it too hard that other way. I don't know if you want to go into that a little bit, because I think there's two sides. Yeah, there's people that have that fear, and then there's people that have no fear, and they just want to blast on all the time. So there's that sort of a balance sometimes that you can find.
I think it's still fear-based.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's, because Stephen was, we had a strength training and a mobility nutrition seminar with two local Division I track coaches and cross-country coaches, and they're saying most people aren't overtrained; they're just under-recovered. Mm-hmm. And that you can spin that in as many ways as you want to. It's a very true statement. Whether it's you're not getting enough sleep, whether it's you're trying to train your body like a Corvette, but you're feeling it like a Pinto. Or you're just not getting any sleep, or you can take it as like, and I think it's like when you say like, the athlete that has like no fear and does too much, to me that still sounds like fear. It's or maybe it's lack of actual true confidence. It's fear that they're never going to be able to do enough and they always have to do more. Or if I don't ride 140 miles and do a 20-mile brick, I'm not going to be prepared for a full. And so I think it probably comes from fear, but also a place of not being solid in your information that you really believe in. So more is always the answer. When a lot of times it's maybe just a smidge more, even if, or sometimes it's even less. Sometimes it's not like, sometimes it's like, hey man, like you're doing like too much. Like, how about we take like 2 to 3 hours off a week, and how about we get some more recovery, and then we see how much better you do. Like, more isn't always the answer. It's always, and we talk about this too, like it's in terms of training and how you're like progressing throughout your year, and where is the intensity distribution? Is it, through one cycle, is it 70% more zone 1, zone 2, and then 30% higher intensity? And then you go through like another periodization phase, and it's like, oh, well, is it 80% zone 1, zone 2, and 20%, and then the next one maybe it's 60-40. It's all about balance, and it's all about distribution. But for a lot of athletes, the best distribution you can like get for them is, all right, how about we cut off a little bit of the edges of your current training, and how about we add an extra hour of sleep a night?
I'm in.
If I can add 1 hour of sleep for you each day, when you get to the end of the week, you just slept a whole another night.
Yeah. Did you just say you're going to move the start times back at camp next year for me?
Listen. I was very generous 2 mornings with a later than scheduled start time, especially after we talked about the three most important parts outside of training are sleep, nutrition, and mobility. And that sleep, and honestly, sleep is the gift I wish I could give to every one of my athletes. And usually that is, you remember this, I had our athletes raise their hand, and I said, all right, raise your hand, we're halfway through the year, it's June, I'm like, raise your hand if you've missed some time off of this year because you've been sick, or you've had kind of a niggle or a pain or an injury. How many of you have taken multiple days off? Basically, everybody raised their hand, because most people get sick. Most people have like a niggle here or there. And then I said, all right, well, how much of that do you feel like could be taken away if you would sleep more, feel yourself better, and do mobility for injury prevention? Probably close to all of it.
Yeah,
we beat this horse too. It's like, you're the biggest determining factor of your success, short term, but mostly long term, and how far you can go in the sport and how far you're going to go this season is based on one gigantic thing: training availability. Are you available to train day in and day out for days, weeks, months, and the whole year? Because if you're available to train and then you can be consistent, that's how you stack gains upon gains upon gains upon lasting gains. Not, hey, I had a great PR today, but now I'm shelved and I can't do anything for the next time. And so it's all about availability.
Yeah.
And keeping yourself available.
Steven said something. He was showing us some kind of hip opening exercises and things like that, and one thing that really stuck out with me is like, just do this stuff. Find 10 minutes a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because that's always my thing. Is like, I got to start doing these pre-run warm-ups or post-run cool downs, all these things, and I just start getting overwhelmed by the idea that that's another hour on my day or 30 minutes. He's like, just find 10 minutes a day, and then you're adding over an hour of that a week, which is
right.
Which is legitimate, and it takes time to open those things up anyway, and just start building that habit. And 10 minutes and 1 hour over the course of a week is way better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot more manageable, and sometimes it's about, like you said, just getting stuff in there and building that habit. And I don't know, it's huge, man. Those are the little things that go so far, And it's just like sometimes after, that's like blowing off a post-run kind of refuel. That stuff can really just take away the next 2 days, or whatever the case may be. But I think that's good, man. Sleep. I mean, the thing about camp was I was making the analogy. It was sort of like having 4 race days in a row for me, because anytime I set my alarm in that 4 to 5 range a.m., that really gets in my head. I could, and it was weird, because by the last day, and it was probably a combination of being tired, legitimately tired by the end when I laid down. But it kept getting easier. The first night was the worst. It was almost like pre-Ironman, because we had to get out there at like 6, and that means getting up here in my house and pretty early, and so I get that pre-race anxiety of like oversleeping or whatever the case is. So that number, you lay down and you're sitting, man, it's getting closer to that time. It's closer. It's like you're panicking in bed. But I think that helps me too, just to kind of go through that. And I woke up today out of habit, like at 5:15. I didn't get up.
I was gonna say, no way, dude.
Well, I was gonna get up, and I'm like, come on, dude, this is not your game plan.
Exactly.
Today's the day of recovery in a way. So, yeah. But it was interesting. I found that interesting. Is that, and people were saying this, like we had to get to bed and get that sort of build. That to me is a fear. Okay, I mean that really is. That's probably one of my biggest race fears is getting sleep the night before.
I know it is.
And that's like number one fear. So it's like, if I can get 6 hours before a race, I'm gold. But normally I have to battle through with some up and down sleeps. And frankly, the guys who were staying here all kind of confessed to that was an issue with them as well. Maybe not falling asleep, but maybe waking up and having weird sleep patterns throughout the night. And maybe we can find somebody that can get on here or talk about that a little bit more, because I think that's probably a pretty common thing these days. Maybe not with you, but it is.
Some nights it is, man. That's the thing though that I've like really tried to shift and how I do things. It's like you don't know when you're gonna get sleep.
Yeah.
You also know when you don't, because when you have a toddler, you basically just don't know. But like, you also don't know when you're gonna lose a huge chunk of it. So while if Hayden's like sleeping a lot, and I'm like, oh well, I guess I can just stay up late tonight and watch a Netflix series or work or do whatever, and then so you don't get as much sleep as you could, and then guess what happens the next night? He gets sick, or he's off, has a bad night sleeping, and then so now you're 2 days behind. Versus, being able to combat what might happen, that's unpredictable with. But you know what? I'm super rested because the last like 5 or 6 nights of really just when I have the opportunity to shut my eyes and go to sleep, I shut my eyes and go to sleep. Like one thing I noticed, like with camp and having us being so busy and all those things, like I didn't watch a single solitary second of TV from Wednesday to Sunday. Not a single thing on TV, not a single thing on Netflix. It was, work, camp, family, connecting with people, and then as soon as I got to shut my eyes, I shut them. It was no wasted time. And like, listen, listen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to tell you that like I don't think that there's a place for like just zoning out, because there is. Like, there's just sometimes all you want to do is like curl up on the couch. It's overcast outside, and just zone. When your mind is like so occupied 24/7, like nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing it for the sake of of sleep, and then you're exposing yourself to more, I think what they call like blue light, like from your smartphone, device, iPad, whatever. The more you do that, then also again, like the more you're asking for, for things to probably not go as great as you would want them to.
For sure. I noticed you've gotten a lot better with your smartphone activity.
Trying to. Definitely not perfect.
At night. Seems
but,
like.
Yeah, at night, like as soon as we get in bed to read Hayden his books, I really, really try to just kind of shut it down. If it's anything past, hopefully 7, I'll zone out. But it's something I'm definitely trying to improve at, but definitely not anything I am perfect at, and by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I made a post on the blog about losing my phone, man, and I think that there's something, I don't know, for me, it was huge not to have that kind of constant stimulation all day. It's just like, how do you divvy that up into pockets of almost work?
Yeah.
Without an always-on feel.
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
It really did. It felt like it gave me more energy and stuff like that. I didn't have that distraction to sort of let my brain trail off into Netherland instead of, just doing shit around the house.
Yep, exactly.
All right, man. Well, there it is. There's the post-camp Attitude is King podcast.
Post-camp cast.
Yep. If you're looking for some coaching, you can email my buddy Robbie over there, coach c26coach@gmail.com. If you have any questions for me, I'm at crushingiron@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Close Facebook group, search Crushing Iron Group. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram. We got a goofy name on there. C26_triathlon on Instagram, I think.
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, so there you go.
Find us, look us up, connect with us. We would love to hear from you.
And if you got Muncie coming up, you should know by now that it is rolling start versus waves.
Yeah.
So you should feel safe and happy that you get to stand in a big line.
Yep. And roll right in.
Roll right in.
Yep. Wade in like beachgoers at the Hamptons.
38 years of wave starts just thrown out.
Yep. This is true.
Must not have been working. Must not have been working for those Muncie guys.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, so and if you have any other questions about other things we do, you can always feel free to check us out at our one-stop shop, crushingiron.com.
Over and out, my friend.
We'll see you Thursday.
You got it.
All right, man. See you, dude. Bye.